and welcome to our Hustle and Know entrepreneurial experience. We are an entrepreneurship book club moving into the podcast world. My name is Julie. I'll be your host today. And joining us, we have Joseph Warren, co-owner of Financial Planning HQ, and Shawn Townley, speaker and geek. That's all I remember. So, each month we read and discuss books relating to entrepreneurship and professional development. So today we are going to discuss the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Or Sinek. Don't be mad, Simon. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's get started. So, team, in one word or sentence, give me your synopsis of the book. If you were the author, what is the main point that you'd want the reader to take away from this book? Pretty sure we're all going to have the same answers, so I'll go ahead and start it off then.
Oh,
you don't steal my thunder.
Just because you're the boss. That's crap.
Yeah. Okay, so it is what it says. Start with why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And it basically, that order specifically is what matters. That's what this book is about. Most companies, they tell you what they do, how they do it, and then they tell you why. But instead, the golden circle, the way our brains work, is reversed. We need to know why you do it, then how, then what. Otherwise, we're just going to think you're another greedy company that's just trying to suck money from us. So that's the main point of the book. Okay, now I'll let you guys jump in.
Who's first?
Joseph, how about you?
Wow, so I don't know how you got a hold of my script beforehand.
Same book.
Oh, I would say, just jumping off of that, once you know what your why is, your purpose is, you want to integrate that to every decision, every thought, every action that you do in your business. So for instance, if you're hiring someone, don't hire someone who's like, I don't get it. Why are you guys doing that? Hire someone who's really a believer in what you're doing, so you really have a culture that's aligned with your why. So I would say it can be a part of your decision making as well, but it's also how people make decisions. So you want to say, this is why we're doing what we're doing instead of what, because then people just are, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. That's boring.
Definitely. Okay, Shawn?
Don't spend your time telling me what you're going to do for me. I mean, even though that's what I ask you to do, I put out a bid and I want to know what you can do. But at the end of the day, I really don't know what you can do, or, I'm probably even care less about how you can do it. What's in it for me? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it for yourself? Why are you doing it for me? Why am I buying into your mojo? I mean, at the end of the day, we're all salespeople. And I think if you cannot convince people to buy into your why you are. I mean, so many people can do how, and so many people can do, what, that I think we're inundated with that. I think that's all commercials. I mean, if you've watched any sort of TV, any sort of regular TV, people can tell you what they can do, how they can make you feel, but very rarely there's just a few companies that tell you why they do what they do. So, to Joseph's point, and to piggyback, we need to sell the why, because no one cares about how or what. We just want to know why.
That's very true, because there's so many different companies out there. The competition is fierce in literally whatever industry you pick: technology, clothing, anything, services, products, all of it. But what separates you from the other company? And most companies automatically think it has to be because of my proprietary invention or product or whatever. But in reality, it's because it's the reason why you're doing it. Like, people want to know your story, and those are the most successful. So, okay, next question. Tell us what you liked best about the book, and then what you disliked about the book. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
What I liked first, let's see. I liked all the examples that he gave He gave so many examples of why you should start with why. And my favorite example was when he was talking about the man's trying to get a flight. What was it? Man's pursuit of flight. And he was talking about the Wright brothers versus, I think it was Langley. And
I remember.
I think that was their name. Well, the Wright brothers obviously are the ones who ended up creating the first airplane, right? They were bicycle shop owners, and they had a clear why. They thought it would benefit mankind to be able to fly and take to the
Not
sky.
because they had the better tools and the equipment and everything else. You're right.
They were just humble bicycle shop owners. They weren't like from Harvard or Yale or anything. They were just like, really, really passionate about it. And Langley, he was smart.
Yeah.
He was a smart dude. He had like a bunch of like Harvard, MIT. Was MIT around back then? Type people. And he had the press behind him. Everyone was like, when is he going to do it? Everyone thought it was him. But all he cared about was clout or money. So he ended up not being able to accomplish it because he didn't have a driving mission. He just wanted money, basically.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like you said, the Wright brothers, who had absolutely no resources, no experience, no nothing. Their little team of people who gathered with them all had the same why, and they were the ones that ended up, making the first flight. So it's not about how much resources you have. It's about your why and your will to actually figure it out and get there. So
it shows that money can't really be your main motivator, because it's just like anyone else could be like, oh, money's my motivator. It doesn't separate anybody.
It's not deep enough. It's not going to last. People who are motivated by money, and it's funny because even Simon said that when he started this book, is that when he started his business, after he was so motivated to like beat that the goal of most small businesses is not surviving past year 3, that once he reached past year 3, he was like becoming depressed, and and that's how this all started. He forgot his why. He forgot why he became in business in the first place. And he was so distracted on just making it that after the 3rd year, he's like, what's the point in all this? So that's why we start with why, guys. Okay, I had to. Okay, so did you dislike anything about the book, Joseph?
Yes. There was just one thing. It was hard. I really liked this book. I really liked it. But you could say that it's repetitive, which I'm fine with repetition if you like. I like the idea, and I do like the idea of starting with why. I think it's a valid idea. But you could say it's very repetitive because he kept giving the same examples over and over. Apple, Martin Luther King, the Wright brothers, Japanese automakers. It was kind of the same examples that we were hearing before too. And I would say if I could improve this book, it would have been cool if he told you how to find your why, because that's a very tough thing to do. And I know he has another book on it, so he made it so you have to buy 2 books. You have to start with why and then find your why. But I think instead of being repetitive, he could have been like, let's just make that one book where we teach you how to find your why, and then we tell you to start with why, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. Yeah, he was strategic for sure.
He's going to make more money, though. So
you can't hate him on that.
No, it's good.
That's a good point. Okay, Shawn, your turn.
I really like the fact that things become a commodity if you put enough work into it. You can be an entrepreneur and work really hard and just be like the next guy, right? You can copycat. You can be second best. You can watch YouTube. You can try to emulate those folks. But at the end of the day, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, and really it comes down to passion. I mean, we call it why, but if you don't know your purpose, which I equate to why, then there's no way to sustain. There's no way to get through. I've seen a few of the YouTubers that I follow now that really have talked about, trying to stay motivated during this time, these last few months especially. They don't get the feedback. They don't get to go out and do their socials and those types of deals. And they're having to look at a camera with no feedback. And they're trying to get people to buy into what they're doing. And if you don't have that why, that passion, that foundation, you're going to fizzle out. I mean, because YouTube went out and started cutting funding. They're not selling ads like they used to. I mean, the economy is starting to tank. The markets are doing great. But if you don't have the passion or the why in this instance, you're not going to make it. So I like that. I like the fact that this book talks about it. And just for the record, I've read Find Your Why. It's horrible. It's a horrible book because it's nothing but a class taught by other people written by this dude plus two other dudes. Right. So it's just don't do it. I mean, I would just say it's a sequel you don't want to read because this book was enough and you should have just left it at that and leaving it to your imagination, because if you have to inspire someone to go through an exercise to find their why, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be disingenuous, to be honest. So as far as what I don't like about it, you're right. The examples, Joseph, we've already read through these examples of how things can go and what does work and what doesn't work and why they did this and why they did that. Try telling me your why. He could have spent some more time on his why, how he got it. It's a little bit of time, but it would have been nice to take me through your journey, kind of like James Clear did with Atomic Habits. I mean, take me through your journey and really spend some time with me there and help inspire me. Your why should inspire my why. It should be a spark, right? Sword, sharpening a sword sort of deal. There was a lot of potential. I really like this book. Don't get me wrong. There wasn't a whole lot I didn't like about it, but do yourself a favor. Don't read the sequel.
Ooh, okay. No, just kidding. That's a little harsh. No, I'm just kidding. No, you got to keep it real. You got to tell him. I guess that was a sequel to this one. But he should have just kept it like you're saying, himself writing it instead of him collaborating with others.
Well, I'm just saying
that changed the writing.
Infinite Game was a better book. I really enjoyed Infinite Game. Mm-hmm. So if you want to read another Simon book, read that one. Find Your Why. If you want to take a class, if you want to try to boil down this book and make it so academic and put it in a classroom and sell it to a corporation, then read Find Your Why. Sorry, Simon, but you didn't even do your own book. I mean, you got other people, and it's Infinite Game was better.
Dang, now he's never going to listen to us ever again. No, I'm just kidding.
Or he'll think that we're good people for telling the truth.
True, yeah. Sorry, we're all about being real. Okay, well then, to be honest, y'all kind of hated on, no, just kidding. I didn't really find anything wrong with it, really. I guess the only thing I could say is that I love examples, so I can't get mad. Shawn, you did have a point. There are a lot of the examples that are in here are the same examples that we read in other books. So I keep getting confused. Did I hear it from this book or that book? Or no, I heard it in all of them because they're all using the same. So it's very similar to rework. And but I still think he has a lot of really good points in here. And I'm going to mention a couple. So one of the ones that I really liked which is what blows my mind every time, you hear about companies not doing well or treating their people bad. And I just want to say this to them. Great companies, they don't hire skilled people and motivate them. They hire already motivated people and inspire them. You don't hire for skills, you hire for attitude. You can always teach skills. And it's I just feel, because I remember being young and entering the workforce and nobody wants to hire you. Even though they say entry level, they're we actually want 3 years experience. And you're but I'm awesome. I could help your company so much. But they're all about what's on paper. So I really like that he pointed that out. And it's interesting because in this book too, there's also a lot of similarities in other books, but there's also some contradictions. So for example, in Built to Last, they say how you don't need to have a charismatic leader. A lot of the leaders of these visionary companies that have been around hundreds of years, you don't even know who their CEO is. And if you do, it's not it really matters. You don't have to have that visionary leader to run properly. You just have to have your why commonality. But here he's Simon says you kind of basically do have to have a good leader, because Good leaders are those who inspire people to act, those who are able to inspire, give people a sense of purpose or belonging that has little to do with external incentive or benefit to be gained. Those who are able to inspire will create a following of people, supporters, customers, workers, who act for the good of the whole, not because they have to, but because they want to. So he's basically saying, you know, like, if you want to get people to stay within your company, they have to buy in with what you believe, which once again goes back to the built to last with the cult-like behavior. But I think Simon's more like, they just have to believe it. It doesn't have to be cult-like. So I do like that as well, because if people are just motivated by money, then, you know, next thing you know, they're going to get another offer for more and they'll be like, bye, peace. But if they really buy into your why and the reason you're doing things, they're more likely to stay because it's a better fit for them and they're happy in their day-to-day lives. And it doesn't have to be a cult like business for them to believe in what you're doing. So I liked that. And let's see, since I didn't do a dislike, I'm thinking maybe I'll just do another like.
Boo. Boo.
I can't help it. There's so many good things. People, read this book. This is a really good book. It's not like academic style book where like John hates like the textbooks. It's more like real life experiences, real examples, and it's an easy read. It's really, and it's entertaining too. It's fun. Mm-hmm. So this is another point. Let's see. Actually, okay, this one's better. Sorry. Okay. So he goes into, I guess this is similar. This is similar, I guess, to the last one, but it's portrayed differently. Okay. It's called the celery test. Do y'all remember?
Good God.
Okay. The idea that copying what or how things are done at high-performing organizations will inherently work for you is just not true. So basically, this goes back into, it's not what or how you do things. What matters more is what and how you do things that is consistent with your why. So celery test example. He's like, let's say your business is like, you're a health nut. Okay, you're healthy business. You believe in living life healthy. Okay, so you're going to go to the grocery store, right? And you're going to see celery. And you're going to see Oreos, and you're going to see almond milk, and you're going to see pistachios. And each of these could be like different software systems. Like someone could be like, you know what, these pistachios are good for your brain, but in like real world situations, you could say like, this software revolutionized our CRM system, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, your why is to be healthy. So if pistachios are healthy, they're good for your brain, then you're going to do it. But let's say in the example of the Oreos, in real life, that could be, you know, this person just bought this crazy, I don't know, like machine that helps your food go through the roof.
Nobody gets mad at people that buy Oreos. I mean, it's not a bad deal, right?
Maybe if it's a cheat day. The point is that you're not going to go for the Oreos if you were a health company. Like, that's your why. Or whatever product that person, that salesman's trying to sell you, that's an Oreo. If it does not align with your why, don't buy it. So I think that's similar to when in the Built to Last, when we were talking about your core ideology, everything has to align. Everything has to be the same. So
what if you're carbo loading?
If you're carbo loading, that's a different why. Then your why is different. Your why, that why would say, eat all the Oreos you can.
Yes. That's my fuel. That's my okay.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so those are a couple of things. Oh, there's so much more I want to say, but I'll contain it for now. Okay, moving on. Next question. So, actually, last question, best question. Okay, what is something that you learned from this book that you didn't know before? And give me an example of how you're going to apply it to your real life. Basically, it's your why. You guys got to tell me your why right now. Who's up? Joseph? Oh, you said something. I guess you'll go first.
Oh, I just want to refresh my memory. Okay, I'll go first. Okay. A lot of what companies do, if you look at commercials, is just pure manipulation. So like if you look at any car company, like GM or Ford, it's always like, oh, we're going to give you $5,000 in GM bucks. And we're going to give you a rebate of $10,000. And, you know, the car's regular 46,000, but we're going to take 5,000 off that. And it's just like, they're really just playing like price manipulation games. But then some other companies, like I know Shawn drives a Jeep, and they're like more about like, oh, it's about going outdoors, or like Subaru, it's what makes a Subaru. Even Toyota like will show people having fun in the car. So you can kind of, with car commercials, you can kind of see like there's companies that have whys, and there's companies that are just like, hey, our cars are cheap, buy them. And it's really not inspiring at all. Like I wouldn't want to buy a car just because it's cheap. You really want something that is aligned with you. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of companies do use manipulations, like that's the norm. Even you were talking about hiring, to piggyback off hiring, like everyone's always like, oh, you need to be skilled at this. They always start with what? You need to know this, know this. But that doesn't make sense, because it's right. You can just teach anyone anything. Like we all know how to learn skills. It's real easy. You can't just teach someone to have a good attitude or to like believe in what you believe. You have to like, maybe you can brainwash them to do that. So I think what I learned is there's so many manipulations, and with what I'm going to apply is anytime I'm trying to convince someone of something or persuade them, I'm going to start, it's pretty simple. I'm going to start with why. That's what I'm going to do. And it works. I did it before. I did it on my president's speech. Did you see my president's speech at Toastmasters? I started with why Toastmasters existed. And I won Best Speaker for once. So.
You hooked them in. See? Awesome.
So that's how you inspire people, is you tell them why first, instead of being like, oh, you know, we're skilled at Microsoft Word. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what's your why then for your company, Joseph?
So my why is to take care of people's finances so that they can enjoy their quality time here on Earth with their family. And in that time, you know, you can have a lot of free time but not enjoy it. So they're not stressing. They're really just able to be in the moment and enjoy the time that they have.
That's awesome. Okay, so what are you going to do differently, though, from what you learned?
What am I going to do differently?
Yeah.
Just always going to start with why.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I want to piggyback on Joseph. Sorry, Shawn. And just let the audience know the other part of what Joseph was saying. So another really good part of this book is he goes into what he calls carrots and sticks. It's like people who are starting with a company who don't have their why, who don't know their why, who are starting with their what. They use a variety of different tactics to try to gain customers. So that includes, like what Joseph said, manipulation, which includes price. So they basically just try to go lower on the price than their competitor. Promotions, you know, throwing in free whatever XYZ. Fear tactics, aspirational tactics, and peer pressure. So the thing is that all of these manipulations, they work. You know, people try, like security companies sell the fear in you. You need this large system. Your family's going to get hurt, you know, like it works. Now everybody has those, right? But it doesn't inspire you to like want to be with the company and stay with that company. Or it doesn't breed loyalty, point blank. So I think that is a huge major part in this book, is that, yeah, you know, you can lower your price from your competitors, but at the end of the day, another thing is going to come around and you're going to lose that customer. So is that really the kind of company you want to be? Or would you rather start with why, have reasonable prices for your product, and then actually get customers who want to stay with you for long term and care about you? Which is also why he goes into like Southwest as an example, and how that is like an amazing airline. And even during like the recessions, they didn't even go in the red. That's how good they were. I don't know how they're doing now. I should say that now. I'm talking about like the 2008 recession. I should check on their stuff for the coronavirus, though.
They're down, but they're okay.
They're down, but they're still okay.
They're one of my favorite airlines.
That's not really their fault, though, because the virus is making people not fly.
Quit making excuses.
Okay, Shawn, are you flying? I didn't think so.
They're one of the safer ones. Like, they're not packing airplanes. Some of the other ones are trying their best to pack airplanes, which is pretty.
Oh, I have heard that.
Over people, really.
Some
which a lot of
airlines.
companies will do. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to fly at full capacity again. It's like, why? That's not good. Well, it's going to go real low after that. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Don't do it, people. Don't do it. Okay, so I didn't even get to my part yet, but do you want to go, Shawn? I'll let somebody else talk for a minute.
Oh my gosh, you talked for like 10 minutes and you didn't get to your part?
No, not yet.
What
I
is
just
your
wanted to
why?
add that tidbit for the
What is
audience.
your why?
Well, I'll get to that. Do you want me to say it now?
It's up to you. You're the host, so I'm just
No,
lowly.
you go. I'll go afterwards.
I'm going to piggyback off a piggyback because I like piggybacks.
Mm-hmm.
I like taking piggybacks, not giving piggybacks. But anyway,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a filter, right? If I can, to Joseph's point, look at a product someone's trying to sell to me, and I can use it as a filter to cut through the BS. Don't tell me what you can do for me or how you can do it for me. Why? Why are you doing it? Is it just to move product? Is it just a commodity? Is it a cheap piece of crap? Or do I really need it? The one thing that Apple does well is they sell a lifestyle. People don't talk about what Apple products cost. They talk about the lifestyle. And right now we're talking about Black Lives Matter. And we're talking about these very social reforms with, what do we do with the police? These are why things that are trying to be sold. Now, unfortunately, when it starts going backwards to the filter and everybody has the pressure to make a statement or not make a statement or support or not support it, it really comes into question for me for this very basic reason. Why are you doing this? Why do you feel the need to make a statement about Black Lives Matters? Why do you find the need to tell me about this? What is your motivation? Because when you start trying to sell me, or you sell at a discount, or you do it just because everybody else is doing it, you've essentially made yourself cheap to me. There's no more value. You're not telling me about your why you're doing it. You're doing it because everybody else is doing it. And that's a lemming. And lemmings, we know, go off cliffs, and we don't want to be that. So the takeaway for me is apply it as a filter for things that I want to invest in, whether it's a concept, an idea, a product. Ask myself, why do I really need that? Is it just because it's available and it's on sale? Or is it something I'm really going to use and internalize? And for myself, going outward facing to the world, it is such a relief to just be genuine, right? If I can tell you my why, I don't have to give you a discount for you to do business with me. If you want my time, if you want to pay to have me come speak, if you want me to be your coach, I shouldn't discount myself and give you some sort of half-ass effort, right? You either get me or you don't get me. That's my why. I want to help you. My why, Julie, is I wake up every day and I tell myself this. I want to enjoy my life's journey by learning new things and teaching others. That is why I exist. I want to learn new things and enjoy this journey because I don't know how long it's going to last. And if I can teach others, then I'm a success, regardless of what I have in my bank account, regardless of who thinks I'm okay or likes me through social media, which I don't normally participate into. I don't need validation outside of that. If I know that I can help someone else and I know if I'm enjoying life, that's my why.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, Shawn. And I think that's such a great thing to bring up too, especially right now with the coronavirus and all these people dying, and you hearing all these stories and like close friends or family or stories on the news of people who have died, and it just like makes you realize like life is so precious and it's so short, and you don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. So you really got to enjoy it. Oh, okay. So cute. Okay. I love that, Shawn. Okay. Great job. Okay. So what I was going to say about one thing that I didn't know before was the law of diffusion. So for those of you who haven't read the book, basically, there's the bell curve, and then there's the 2.5% who are the innovators, the 13.5% of the population who's early adopters, the which is the early majority, 34 late majority, and 16, which is the laggards. So when marketing a new product, you need to target the 2.5, the inventors, and not the early adopters, just because they're at a higher percentage, because they're not going to buy anything until the innovators do. And this example blew my mind when they give the example of TiVo. Do y'all remember TiVo back when they first started and they were like, this is the best thing, you can record shows now, you don't have to like watch it live. Like, they marketed the hell out of it. It was everywhere. They spent so much money doing it. They spent so much time in, and it was a great, awesome product. But what they were doing is they were marketing it to the masses. They weren't marketing the innovators. So because they were marketing to the masses, who are the early majority and the late majority, they're like, yeah, that sounds awesome, but we're not going to check it out yet because it's so new. We haven't read any reviews about it. We don't know, is it going to beat the hype? So no one was buying it, and their sales tanked, and they just were a complete failure. And then what ended up happening? The regular TV companies, AT&T, all that, they started providing that service where you can record. So it just was, people, once again, it just goes to show they don't buy what you do. Because they had a great product, they were revolutionary for their time, but they didn't have a why, and they marketed to the wrong people. If you're going to have an innovative product like that, you need to be with the early adopters. That's also why people are so loyal to Apple, and they will stay in line for hours and hours and hours all night long to get that new edition of the iPhone or whatever, because they're like, they pride themselves as early adopters, actually the innovators, in being like, look, I got this new gadget. They don't care the cost. Which also goes to show on how strong Apple's why is, because and they do talk about Apple a lot in this book, and they tell you how the reason they got started was because they wanted to like beat the status quo. You know, they wanted to put the power to the people, like, because back then, you know, there was before computers and all of that. So they're like, we want the average Joe person to be able to compete with the big corporate companies. And you know what? Power to people. So, and it grew. And this is the whole point of the why. It doesn't matter why or what product, I mean. So they could have iPhone. They ended up going into, you know, iPods and changing iTunes, changed the way people listen to music. They changed the whole industry, because it doesn't matter about what they did. They could do phones, you know, music, whatever. Next thing you know, they're going to do like TVs and stuff. It doesn't matter what they do, because their why is so revolutionary, and they've marketed the hell out of that with all their ads too as well. So gotta hand it to Apple.
So I mean, just as a case in point, Apple sells a lifestyle, right? And you talk about they really tap into that cool factor, right? So then this is cool and people do it, and we don't even talk about price. And they only discount their products when the new one comes out, right? They have a very strong pricing. You don't go to Walmart and get it cheaper. You don't go anywhere and get their products cheaper, right? Compared to an Amazon, another behemoth, right? I honestly have no loyalty to Amazon. So if Alibaba comes or Walmart does it better, I won't say I'm loyal. I'm not in the ecosystem of Amazon. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Whereas Apple, I would probably buy a couple of duds before I gave up on it, just because I'm so committed to, you know, where their stance is on security.
It's interesting that you say that, because like I do like Apple's why and all of that, but at the same time, like, I'm a PC girl. Like, I prefer the PC products, and it's not like I care about PC's why. I'm just that part of the laggards majority that doesn't really care. Just give me a product that works. But unless it's the iPhone, I do always have iPhones because they're easy.
But part of it is price sensitivity. It's where you are in your life, right? I mean, there's going to come a time where price sensitivity won't be there. Hopefully for you, it won't be there, right? So there's going to come a time where why will trump cost, right? So my kids, they're starting on their own deal, and they still need to eat, right? So groceries, so beans and rice, that kind of stuff. But it's for a short time. It really is for a very short time. And then when you get to true loyalty, brand loyalty, it's different because then you have the disposable income to be able to do that. And so that's why I'm saying Amazon doesn't hold. I wouldn't consider any loyalty for that. But to get me off an iPhone at this point or a MacBook or anything like that, someone, Samsung couldn't do it. Google couldn't do it. I mean, there's nothing that's been solid enough or had a good enough why to make me move. And so I think why is also a point in time in your life. You always want to think about the why. You always want to do it for the right reasons. That people buy stocks for that reason. I want to do it because there's not blood diamonds involved, this kind of stuff. But if you can't meet the lower portion of the Maslow's pyramid, the other things you don't have the luxury of doing it because then it becomes a luxury. So there is a little bit of a luxury factor here. So you're going to be price sensitive until money is no longer your decision, and then I think it takes over.
To an extent, like I have iPhones basically since the 4, so and I buy that with my own money. My parents didn't buy me that, but it's fine because I prefer them over the others. But computer-wise, I don't really like Mac computers, but we do use them at my current work, so I've kind of been adjusted. But maybe I don't know. But for now, I just rather have PC. But that's just irrelevant, I guess. Sorry, guys.
So what are you taking away, and what is your why?
Okay, so that was my takeaway is that, make sure when I'm in my business and I'm marketing that if it is a revolutionary new product, which most likely is not going to be new, like it will be like different, obviously, but it's not going to be like, I'm not inventing the TiVo. I'm not inventing some crazy tech product. So where I need to apply that, but I will still definitely keep that in mind for like the influencers of that industry to make sure to target them first. So, and then my why is, which it's funny because I remember literally saying my why, like in a confessional, like beginning of the year. I forget what book it was for, but my why is that I want to inspire women to be happy and like self-confident in themselves and just like being yourself and be authentic and not pressuring into the status quo. And I'm going to do that through my company, helping women change their attitudes. So, oh my God, any last things we want to say? This was an awesome session. I love this so much.
I like having a non-Apple phone to be different. What does that say about me?
Good God, Ben.
I think nowadays, I feel like nowadays that shows that you're beating the normal status quo because normal status quo is Apple. So now you're basically
because Apple became so popular that they became
a rebel. Apple just works.
Right.
It's
okay.
Cool.
Okay, one more example that I want to say because I thought this was amazing. Okay, there was in the book somewhere, they talk about this girl who used to work at a collections agency, and she didn't like the way they were running it. Basically, it's commission based. The more money that you get for the collection company, the more money you make. So all of her coworkers were using the evil tactics like, yelling, being aggressive, rude. And she noticed that she was actually starting to adopt those same tactics, like, because, you're trying to make money, right? But she didn't like it. So she ended up quitting and starting her own collections agency with a completely new approach. Her approach was like, how about I actually, I'm nice to people and I listen to them and find out the reason why they're unable to pay, hear their stories and their backgrounds, like, whether it's, are they even able to pay? Maybe if it's, can they set up a payment plan, like something. Mm-hmm. And it was, everybody thought she was going to like fail. Like, that's stupid. It's never going to work. And she ended up being so successful. I think it was crazy. It was like she was able to get like 300% more than the standard average of money back 300%, like crazy. All because she knew, she's like, this isn't right, you know? And it did not, her at the other agency, that did not align with her why. And she's like, well, why am I doing this? You know, so she dug in. She not only discovered her own why, that she wanted to help people, like pay their debts, but also, you know, the why of her customers. Like, why aren't they able to pay? Are they in specific situations? And she thought outside the box. So, you know, people, entrepreneurs who are trying to start a business and all of that, like, just think of your why, because it can be anything, and it doesn't have to be a product. And at the end of the day, even if another company, like we were saying earlier, starts the same exact thing as you, they're not going to run it the same way you do. And the reason why you do it is going to differentiate you, not just the proprietary technology or whatever. So think about that. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And thank you to our author, who is Simon Sinek. You can find more about him in the description box. And don't forget, hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. See you next time. Bye.